Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Today is September 25th, 2021, and it is time for the next pepper update. Today is going to be a little different. I'm going to go through the garden quickly, and then I'm going to go and show you all of the plants in details. That way you can see the plants, what they look like, the fruits and all that stuff. So maybe it will help you determine if you want to grow some of these varieties in the future. So quickly, we're going to go through and look at this system. My plant in the hydro system. This is the Khang white Thai. Man, how beautiful this is. I just love the way it grows, produce so many fruits. I use it almost daily, but they keep producing more. So that's the beauty of the Khang white Thai. And in the last video, people thought this was some kind of other medicinal plant. This is actually a Japanese maple. So that's just to clear things up. So let's go outside and look at the plants in details. Okay, so quickly we're gonna show you what the plants look like. They are all beautiful, producing like crazy. And then we'll take each of these plants and I'll describe it in details for you guys. So here's some more pepper plants here, look amazing. Lots and lots of fruits. And the white Thai patch over there, that one's doing amazing as well. Look at that, how beautiful that is. And then we have some more over here. All grown very nicely, looking really healthy right now. The big Lemon StarrBurst that I'm entering in the contest. Here are some plants in the extra raised beds. And some more plants that I'm testing with right here. And in the last video, I forgot to show the Super Pequin. So it's growing really nice right here. And some of the plants in the pots here. And then here are some other plants that are grown in pots as well, larger pots. Look at all of those peppers on here. And then StarrScream. How big those plants are. Okay, so let's go and talk about these plants one by one. Okay, first up we have my StarrScream. This is the long version. And then I use that long version to cross with a chocolate Linzo. And this is the result of this. So I think I need to come up with a name very soon. That way I don't have to talk about this cross with this. It needs a proper name. But it's extremely productive. Very nice tasting pepper. Not very spicy. So it can be used with your meal, with cooking. And because the pods are not super big, they're super crunchy. So they're nice to be eaten raw. And I just love them with Thai foods and Chinese foods and stuff like that. They're just amazing, guys. And again, fresh is best. So come out here and just yank them off. And they're just going to be just so good. So you see the plant habit, they're very, very productive. You see hundreds and hundreds of pods. The best stage for these plants is around this right here, right before they turn completely ripe. When they get to the chocolate color, they're good for cooking because they do get a little softer. So if you want the nice crunch and the punch and all that stuff, this is the best stage right here. They do have a little blush when they get a lot of sun, and you can see they change into many different colors. So you get really green when they start out. And then it goes to a lighter green color actually, and then you get a little blush of purple, and they do go to a little orangish color, and then finally to a chocolate color. But a nice variety. I really love this one right here. I don't think I've sent seeds out for these yet, but I think I will if people are interested. So that is the first one. And next here is my white Thai cross with the Lingria. Lingrias are just beautiful varieties, and then I use that to cross it with the white Thai, and this is the result of it. It looks very much like the white Thai, except it points down like a Lingria. Very productive, nice flavor, super crunchy. And you see there's all kinds of different colors on them. So they'll start out with light green right here, and then it'll go to the white color, and then they'll go to the orange color, and then finally the red color. So again, the red is good for cooking. If you want to eat them raw, the white color or the orange is the best, because that's when they have their sort of like the optimal flavor with the crunchiness and the freshness as well. So these are best when you pick them fresh, and they grow so much. There are just so many peppers on these. And once we get to the white Thai, you're gonna see that the habit is a little bit different. The white Thai points up. Actually, the one I showed you in hydroponic early in the video, that's what it really looks like. But so here's the difference. So beautiful variety. You can grow this as ornamental plants, and they taste good. So I need to also come up with a name for that one. Okay, next here we have my chocolate StarrScream. I just had to pull it out of that spot right there to show you the full potential of this plant. Look at how big this is. And they're not super productive, but they do produce a lot, just not as productive as the first two plants that I showed you guys. But the pods, I think, is just gorgeous. So the plants are, can get enormous. So here's the pod. The final stage is a chocolate color. So as soon as it is turned chocolate, that's when you should harvest them. If you wait longer, they do get a little softer. I guess that's just with all varieties, but I usually like them like this right here. A little chocolate starting to turn, that's when I use them. And they're pretty big. They don't grow like in clusters like the other ones, but there are lots of flowers and plants, pods, and they do produce much better when the temperature dropped to like in the low 80s, to the 70s. That's when they would do the best. But yeah, it's still productive. Just they don't grow in cluster, but the shapes are all over the place because they're still in the very early stages of the hybrid. But again, the plant is enormous. Okay, next we have my Lingria, and I love this varieties, guys. It is so productive, and it almost like it grows in bunches. Like each of this is like a branch, and the branch will have like a bunch of pods on them, so they look really cool. So sometimes a branch will have more branches, and then that branch will have a bundle of its own peppers. And again, they're pretty ornamental looking, you see. So they start out green, light green, and then they turn sort of white. See, it's like a whitish color, and then they'll go to this golden color kind of, and finally, actually then orange, and then finally red. But these pods here, they have these beautiful stingers. They just look dangerous, and a lot of them are just like that. You see, they have these crazy hooks, and they just look mean. But they're beautiful. They taste pretty decent. I like the way they taste. Has a little sweetness to them, and then a little kick. But the best thing about these is the way they grow. You see these little hooks right here, and they're just so productive, and so that's another reason why I love them, you see. So grow these as ornamental plants, and I think it's gonna look really beautiful in your yard, or in small containers, or even in a large container. And the shape is just really nice, especially when they have hooks or stingers like that. So you see how each bunch is a branch. Okay, so let me show you another Lingria that is very similar. Okay, so here is the other Lingria, and I grew this in an Amazon bag. When you buy like frozen foods from them, they'll give you this bag right here, and you can use that to grow if you want to. And you see, each of these is like a branch, but it looks like a bundle. And one plant will have like a ton of little bundle, I guess. And each bundle or each branch would just have lots and lots of fruits, and you see how productive they are. And I picked countless amount of peppers off of these, and they just it seems like these here, the more you pick them, the more new flowers will form. So if you don't pick them as fast, the new flowers sometimes will just drop. But if you keep picking all of the reds one here, and then that allows the plants to focus energy on the new flowers, and then you get more pods at the top. So keep picking these when you get them, and you see they're very interesting. So these are not the shapes don't look like the other ones. These are longer. So sometimes I separate them out and I collect seeds, and then I grow them separately the next season to see the different traits. But the other one is pretty consistent with the way it looks, so I'm going to keep growing that. So here's just the long version, but that is just beautiful. Okay, next up we have the QueeNhi. This is the sweet variety. There's also a spicy one, and the one behind it is actually a spicy one right here. The plant kind of got stunted, but the pods are like much thicker too, so it looks a little bit different. But here is the sweet ones, and this one actually came from the seeds that I saved from a spicy plant. So that's very interesting. So I might have to grow this again to see if the heat come back, or it'll just disappear completely. But look at this, it looks very much like the Lingria and the white tie. And you see it grows again in the bundle, but you see the pods are square at the top instead of pointed and sharp. And just lovely variety for growing as ornamental plant. You see how this is the ground right here, so I think it's under a foot tall, but it's pretty wide. And these taste pretty decent. So sometimes I just I go in the yard, I do some work, I just pick one and I eat them. So it has a nice sweetness and a little tanginess to it, and then you get the peppery flavor. And because of the peppery flavor, you expect the heat to come, but no heat. So very nice to eat, just as you work in the garden. And I think it's because these are peppers. It's probably packed with vitamins in there, so it may be just healthy for you just to eat. And for those that don't like pepper with heat, but you like the pepper taste, this is it right here. Very nice and pretty, very compact, and I think it does spread out more if you allow it more space. Okay, so next here we have my StarrGazer, and this variety was I think I mentioned in the last video, I lost the seeds for them, and then I finally found it, and I was very happy. So I grew it right away. I grew a few plants, but this is the only one that I transplanted into the raised bed, and look at how massive that is. And the habits is very similar to the StarrScream Chocolate, except this one is red, but also it's the skin is very wrinkly, the flesh is very thick on the inside, and it has very few seeds. So the taste is sort of like a little sweet, but it's also very spicy. So good flavor, good plant to grow, and very productive, and it looks beautiful too. So so it looks like sort of like some kind of Thai variety, but the leaves are chinense, you see. Looks just like the chinense leaves. And let me show you. You see, oh, these are all the peppers. They grow down, so sometimes they blend in with the leaves, so you can't tell they're peppers, but they're everywhere until it turns red. And I really love this bright red color right here. Okay, so next to it we have the Houston white tie, and this variety was given to me a while back by Vince, and he's a collector of all of these different tie varieties, and he knew that I loved the white tie, so he gave me some Houston white tie, which is very similar, and I have grown it ever since. And look at this, very beautiful, lots and lots of peppers. Again, the white is the best time to harvest them. Even at the orange stage, they are the best. If you wait until they're red, they get a little softer, and I think those are just good for cooking and used to make powder and stuff. But I only use them at this stage right here. That is my favorite. Nice crunch, good flavor, packs a little heat, actually a lot of heat. And look at that, guys, it's just beautiful. Imagine you have like a roll of these, just roll right down on the side of your house somewhere. It's gonna be very pretty. Okay, so since we're talking about the white tie, here is the Khang Starr white tie. So you can see the Houston white tie is slightly different, and these are a little bigger, and they grow in clusters like this, and that is the reason I love the white tie, the beautiful clusters. And when the plant gets to the full potential, it gets clusters and clusters and clusters, and it gets enormous, and it is just a beautiful plant with good flavor. I just love them. My favorite, probably all time, on the top list. So I think a lot of people are growing this, and if you are, congrats. Also send seeds out if you have people that want to grow these. I highly recommend growing them. They're just amazing peppers. Okay, next up on the list we have the Jay's Peach Ghost crossed with a Primo. And this is a very interesting and beautiful variety, and we finally got some pods that just changed color. So here is what the pods look like. They're just gorgeous. All of them have these little stingers at the bottom. They're kind of round, which is really cool, like a ball, and then at the bottom they have this nice stinger. And the final color is orange. I'm not sure if it would turn red, I forgot, so I'll have to check back. I grew it, I think last year. I just didn't get the right pod, so I decided to grow it again. But there they are, guys. Look at the pods right here. See this? Very interesting, beautiful plant. The leaves look just like a Reaper leaves. So they grow pretty big if you have it in a large area. Give it space. Okay, next to it I have my beautiful variety. These are orange flame, and then I have the red flame, and then this year the orange flame turned out to be a yellow one. So I picked one yellow pod this year. This is the yellow one here. It hasn't changed yet, so I will show you later. The reason I call these the flames is if you turn it upside down, it looks just like a flame. And then here's the orange one. The orange ones are really cool. They're very productive. The pods are really nice, good flavor, and they just look gorgeous, guys. Let me show you a pod right here. You see? And there's some in there. So I have a few plants. They're loaded down with pods. It's hard to see because the pods are, the same color as the leaves, so they're all mixed up in there. So later, maybe the next update, I will be able to show you the yellow one, which is this one here. But can grow pretty large. The reason they're kind of short right now is because I put them so close to each other and they're competing for resources. So if you separate them, they can get huge. Okay, so next we have, this is an extra plant, but I will show you the full grown one. This is the Sweet StarrScream crossed with the Linzo. So last year I grew multiple varieties of StarrScream, actually multiple plants, and one turned out to be sweet. And I actually love the flavor of the sweet one, but I prefer a little heat into it. So I took the Linzo pollen and pollinated, and I actually got the heat. So this is a very nice productive variety. I need to give it a name, and it turns out chocolate, so which is great. And you see how productive they are, even in a small size plant like this. So you can grow them in containers, which I will show you soon. Small containers, large containers, you can put them in the ground, and regardless of the heat, whatever, they grow just fine. They are the first few to produce, even in 100+ degrees Fahrenheit in Texas. They don't care. So let me show you a few other ones because I love them so much. I grow them everywhere. Okay, so here's one. This is in a 5-gallon container, and I actually cut this plant really early to keep it short, and you can see the branches kind of like span out to the side, and it remained pretty low, which is nice because sometimes we get a lot of wind, and if the plant is too tall in these buckets, it either blow the bucket over when there's no water in there when everything dries up, or it just snapped the branches. So I kind of like to keep it low. So that's one, and let me show you another one that is super productive. Okay, this one here, and you see this is a very small container, and well, actually it doesn't look super productive anymore because I picked off all of the fruits, but here are the remaining ones. You see, it looks pretty nice. So if you have no space, definitely grow it in a container and you will still get a lot of pods. And you see there are lots and lots of flowers. I'm not sure the camera shows it, but every little branch you get like 5 or 6 little peppers and flowers. And see, they keep coming back. So the more you harvest on these plants, the more they produce, so which is really cool. So pick all of these out. You see, anytime you see these chocolate ones, pick it off. That way it can focus on the new flowers, and then you get more new fruits. But that is a very productive variety there. Okay, here is another one, and this one I actually didn't cut the top. I just let it grow, and it got a little taller than the others that you just saw. And this one here, you see, lots and lots of pods all over the place. And again, see, it turns chocolate right here, which is really nice, good flavor. Not too crazy heat, but it does pack a punch, and the flavor is great. So every meal I'll come out and either pick a few of these to eat because they're not too big. So they're just perfect, sort of like bite size, and they grow so much. So you need just one plant, and that should be enough for the whole family. But you see how beautiful that is? It grows really nice, grow very easy, produce well in the summer. So you're looking for varieties that just doesn't care how hot it is, it will just produce. These are the ones that you should grow. Okay, next up is a very special variety, and this is called the crisscross. And the seeds from these came all the way from Norway. My buddy Chris in Norway, and the person that created the system in the beginning of the video, the hydro system, yeah, he took some seeds. I forgot, it's a caramel something, and he crossed it, and he said the flavor was so good, and he recommended that I grow them. And yeah, I'm glad I did. Look at these guys. Very interesting shape. It's kind of like a circle, has a little kind of like a little hole right there, and it points upward. And the pods, I think it will ripen up to a caramel. So exactly as he described, it looked a little different than what he was growing. So I'm gonna definitely show him this, and if he wants seeds, I have to send it back to him so that he can grow them. And yeah, very interesting. It's called crisscross. So I'll check to see what cross this is. And here's the smaller one. So I grew 2 of them. Okay, so next here we have a variety I call the StarrGazer Gold. It's different than the StarrGazer Red earlier. This one here turns sort of like a golden color at the best stage, and then it'll change to red at the end, but it does take a while. So I think, see, that one is sorted to beginning to turn to the red stage, but at the best stage where you can harvest and eat, that gives you the best flavor, it's like a golden color. See, and the pods, see, it starts out like this, kind of yellowish green, and then it just turns to the lighter color, and then from that color it stays for a while until it turns orange and then red. So it is a beautiful variety. I mentioned I lost seeds for this, and I just found it, so I'm growing these again, and I'm glad I did, because it turned out exactly as I wanted. Sometimes you get a hint of purple right here because it does have the white tie as the parent. And this variety actually prefer cooler temperature. So in the heat of the summer, all of the flowers just dropped. So now when the temperature is cooled a little bit, it's starting to push out pods right here. So very excited about these. Okay, next up we have my beautiful Lemon StarrBurst. And this variety is just amazing, guys. The pods are just beautiful. They do get very big. You see, here's my hand. And occasionally, they get these little stingers. Those are the ones that I love the most. But usually they have this flying saucer shape, which is really interesting. And I'm growing this for a contest, but not this plant. I'll show you the contest plant shortly, but that is the Lemon StarrBurst. The cool thing about this is when you see the plant grow like this before the color changes, you don't see any pods until you look down here. Then you're gonna see a bunch of green pods. But then once it starts to change to a yellow golden color, man, it is just so absolutely gorgeous. So here, this is what it looks like right here, like a lemon. And they do get very, very big. So let's look at the contest plant. Okay, here is the contest plant. I have this in a 15-gallon fabric pot. I had to move it into the shade a little bit because it was struggling. And finally, they are starting to push pods, you see? As I mentioned, you gotta lift this up to see the pods at the bottom. And they're pushing out pods pretty well. There's lots and lots of see, these are the shapes that I like. You see that? There's a little stinger at the bottom of the saucer. And those are the ones that are cool. And every branches right now, they're pods. You should see the plants that other members on Pepper Lovers community are growing. It looks way better than this. They're like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pods. This one here, I'm probably gonna get around maybe 50. Which is not even close to being, 10th place. Last year, I think the largest plant that produced the most was 300 and something pods. It was just ridiculous. I've never grown a Lemon StarrBurst that produced that many before. Okay, next up we have the white tie crossed with the Ahi Omnicolor. This cross was almost impossible because all of the seeds that I have collected, like maybe 150 seeds or so, this is the only plant that came up out of that. So it's a very exciting variety, and it took a bit of work to get it to grow to this size. I mean, I thought it was gonna die. But anyway, here is the plant. It is looking gorgeous right now. I love the way the pods look. You see here? I'm not sure how it tastes because I've never had them before. This is the first cross, F1, and it does not like the heat. So all of the flowers dropped, and this is the only pod that kind of like sprouted out of all that. All of the flowers drop until now, that when the temperature is cooling down a little bit, and we're almost in October, and that is when they finally push peppers right here. So it looks very much like a white Thai, grows upward, doesn't grow in cluster. I guess it gets the traits from the Omnicolor. So that is almost an impossible cross that I created. So really looking forward to this. Maybe I'll do a review of this very soon. Okay, next up we have my Brazilian Starfish. This is one of my favorite varieties of peppers to grow. And the reason for that is because they are gorgeous and they taste so good, guys. If you have never grown Brazilian Starfish before, add it to your list, grow it one time. It'll change your mind. The pods are just absolutely gorgeous. And I guess it resembles like a starfish, but they turn red at the end. This is the, so you see the transition process right here, green to kind of like a darker color right there, and then finally to a red color. They're very productive, and they do prefer the cooler months. So in the summer they may struggle a little bit. So if you're gonna grow them in the heat, like in the deserts or places that get really hot, I suggest put them into pots like this, and then you can move them around in the crazy heat, and that will help reduce the stress, and they will produce for you. So here, this is one of the plants. Let me show you the other ones. I love these so much, so I grow multiple. Okay, here they are. They're sitting in the raised bed next to all of the extra plants, and you can see white Thai is the extra plant. And look at those, guys. There is one red pod right here. Let me see if I can show you. Actually, it's not quite ready yet, but it will turn red pretty soon. You see, pretty cool looking pods. And you see, they're pretty skinny pepper variety, so they resemble like a vine and stuff like that. Even if they get a lot of sun, they still grow exactly the same way. You see, very skinny, and they spread out a lot. So give it a lot of room to span out. And if your area gets lots and lots of wind, you may need to provide them support when they have too many fruits, because the branches could snap. They are very productive once they start to pump out pods. So with the skinny branches like that, they could be a problem when you have a lot of wind. So yeah, they're just absolutely gorgeous plants, produce well, taste great, and one of my favorite. Okay, next up we have the Eagle Claw White Thai, and I got these seeds from a buddy of mine on Pepper Lovers. I love this varieties, guys. They don't grow in cluster, but they grow white like this. And the same process that the white Thai go through, it's white, and then it turns orange and red. It grows pretty much the same way. It does get pretty big, produce a zillion pods, and they're longer. They're more spread out, you know, like apart instead of cluster. But if you see a full plant with lots and lots of pods, they just look amazing. So that is another variety that I always grow because I love, you know, similar to white Thai varieties. Okay, next up is my Super Pequins. And there's not much to show for these guys right now because they're just starting to pot up. So we may have to revisit later. But these are basically same thing as regular Pequins, except they're much larger. They do taste better too. The habits are basically the same. They grow, they turn red, and then the pods will fall off easily. So when you pick them when they're red, they just fall off. And the birds love these. So when you grow these, the birds are gonna come to your yard. Okay, next up we have my Sweet Linzo, and this variety is very unique. It grows in bunches. You see, so the branches have like a bunch. And then from that bunch, it grows to another branch. And from this branch, it could grow some more branches. So it's like branches on top of branches on top of branches. And the reason I mean, because of that, they're just super productive. They're like fruit everywhere. And the cool thing about these is, like, you see the stems, they're super long, so they hang down like these lanterns. So you see, that's a huge branch right here, and that branch has fruits. You see that? And then from that branch, it branched out to more branches, and those branches just have fruits. You see? And same thing with these. See, that's the branch down there. So this is the only variety that actually, maybe another one that has this really unique characteristics, and it just is so productive because of that. And sometimes, you know, they group up together, like lots and lots of pods forming, and you come by, you grab it by the bundle, and you pull them off, and you get like 5 or 6 at a time. So that is a very cool variety right there, and the flavor is great. They're very little heat, and it's mostly sweetness and less heat. So I grow them in multiple places. So here's another one. You see, there's a branch right there, and you see how it branched out to more branches, and you see each of those branches will have their own peppers on it. So they grow like in bundles. And here is another one. You see that? You see these bundles here? Bundles. You see branches on top of branches. So you get pods like that. Look at that. Very interesting. You see? So I love these. Okay, next up we have the Fireblast. A friend of ours on Pepper Lovers community created this variety. It's very nice, super productive, and the pods are really nice and tasty. They do pack a punch. So yeah, they're, you know, I think they're probably the same heat or a little less than the ghost pepper. So I mean, to me, that's how hot they are. But look how big this plant is. It did struggle a little bit in the beginning. Branches broke. See, it could have a larger branch out here, but it broke because it grows so big. The wind blew it over, and it broke. And you see, so it's kind of like half of the plant left. Imagine if there's a full plant, it gets huge. And again, they're super productive. Flowers everywhere, like hundreds and hundreds of flowers. And I picked a lot of these pods off already. So the more you pick, again, the more they produce, because, you know, if you pick off the older pod, it allows the plant to focus on newer pods. So that's why you get more. So always keep picking, and just don't leave it. That way the energy can be put somewhere else. Okay guys, so lastly we have orange habanero. These are just normal habaneros that I got from Lowe's. And look at that, they're just potted up, very productive. I picked a ton of these to make powder already, gave a bunch away. So yeah, the video is very long, so make sure you check the timeline. I just want to give a good description of each plant to show you how beautiful they are and how they grow. So thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Oh man, I almost forgot about this one here. Just want to show it off a little bit. This is the pink tiger that I grew in a can, and the pods are just way overripe. So that is a beautiful variety to grow if you love ornamental plants that just look gorgeous. So I have another one in the raised bed that I will show you. Look at that guys, it's being covered up down there. I think I may overwinter that, just dig it out and then, you know, save it for next year. But it is a beautiful plant. So imagine just growing a bunch of green plants around it, and then put this beautiful purple variegated plants right in the middle as the centerpiece. It's gonna look really, really pretty.